French content creator Raphael Gravin was known for his video stunts, like taking on these attack dogs.
After more than 290 hours of live streaming, his colleagues found him unconscious in his bed on Monday morning, a few seconds before the live stream was interrupted.
You're watching a live stream, just like any other. Music is playing, the chat is scrolling, the streamer greets his audience with a smile. But then, something shifts. That smile fades. His words turn darker, and within minutes, thousands of people realize they're not watching entertainment anymore.
About 40 minutes earlier, some people behind their screens were able to see and hear his last breath in the chat.
They're watching a man's final moments, live. This is the haunting story of Jean Pormenov.
An investigation has been launched after a French streamer died taking part in a live broadcast on the online platform.
Better known online as Raphael Gravin. A streamer whose final broadcast began like any other, but ended in a tragedy so disturbing that many of his viewers still can't forget what they saw. Jean wasn't a celebrity. He wasn't chasing fame or fortune. He was just a 26-year-old French man, passionate about art, music, and connecting with people online. His streams weren't massive, maybe a few dozen viewers at a time, but those who tuned in described him as charismatic, authentic, and sometimes even a little mysterious.
When he had a heart attack, according to a friend, whose brother was there.
In the middle of the night, he started breathing heavily. We were light years away from thinking that there was a problem. We thought he changed position and started snoring, and then it lasted a few minutes, and then he stopped snoring completely and didn't move anymore.
That night, his broadcast started like usual. Jean sat in front of his camera, dim light casting shadows behind him, soft music playing in the background. He greeted his chat, shared some thoughts, and smiled. But to anyone paying close attention, something felt different. His smile seemed strained. His eyes carried a heaviness that words couldn't hide. And soon, the mood began to shift. Jean started opening up about his struggles. He talked about exhaustion, about feeling like he was carrying battles no one else could see, about being trapped. At first, many viewers weren't sure what to make of it. Some thought he was being dramatic, maybe even artistic. After all, he was known for his creative side, but as the minutes passed, it became clearer. This wasn't performance. This was a man unraveling. He poured himself glass after glass of alcohol, drinking heavily while still on stream. His words grew slurred but also darker. He spoke of pain, of not wanting to keep fighting, of being tired in a way that went beyond just needing sleep. The chat erupted.
And it was there where he was reportedly taking part in a 10-day marathon live video.
Some begged him to stop, to log off, to call a friend or seek help. Others froze, shocked by what they were witnessing, and tragically, a few even taunted him, thinking it was some twisted stunt, but it wasn't. As the night went on, Jean revealed his true intentions. He held up a bottle of toxic liquid, poison. His viewers panicked, messages flooding the screen. "Don't do this. Please think about your family. Get help. Call someone." But Jean looked past the words. His expression was empty, detached, as though he had already made his decision. And then, he raised the bottle and drank. What followed was chaos. His body convulsed almost immediately. He coughed, gagged, his face twisting in agony. Viewers typed frantically, begging him to stop, to spit it out, to do anything. But the damage was done. He stumbled on camera, clutching his stomach, his breathing labored. Some viewers tried calling French emergency services, though many didn't know how from outside the country. Others could only sit frozen, staring at their screens in horror. No one came. Jean collapsed, his body falling out of frame, but the audio continued. The stream stayed live.
It's clear that French ministers are really wanting to hold Kik to account here. They believe that the platform should be held responsible for the content that is on its site.
Every agonizing sound was broadcast to his audience, who could do nothing but listen. Minutes dragged like hours. The line between entertainment and nightmare had shattered. Eventually, the live stream ended, but the tragedy did not. Jean Pormenov, Raphael Gravin, was gone. News of his death spread quickly. Online forums, Discord servers, and Twitter threads exploded with shock, grief, and outrage. People debated what they had witnessed. Was this a cry for help ignored too long? Could someone have saved him if they acted faster? Or was it always going to end this way? For many, the horror wasn't just his death. It was the helplessness. Hundreds of people watched in real time, yet no one could truly intervene. It exposed the darkest side of live streaming, that sometimes the audience becomes powerless witnesses to a tragedy they can never undo. Clips from that night circulated online, often against the wishes of those who begged for them to be taken down. Viewers admitted they were traumatized, some saying they couldn't close their eyes without replaying what they had seen. For many, it shattered their sense of safety on the internet. Suddenly, live streams weren't just harmless entertainment. They could be windows into something raw and devastating. Jean's story left a chilling legacy. It forced people to reflect on how easy it is to dismiss someone's pain as content, how quickly cries for help can be misread as drama, and how fragile the line is between connection and isolation in the digital world. Behind every username, every smiling face on a screen, there's a real human being. Someone who might be laughing while carrying unbearable pain. Someone who might be entertaining while secretly fighting demons no one else can see. And for Jean Pormanov, those demons won. His final live stream wasn't just a broadcast, it was a tragedy. One that reminded the world of the responsibility that comes with watching, with listening, and with caring. Because sometimes, the difference between life and death can be whether or not someone feels seen. This was the last live stream of Jean Pormanov, a night that began like any other, but ended in horror, leaving his audience haunted forever. It's late at night, and a young woman goes live on TikTok. Music plays faintly in the background, comments start flooding in, and her followers settle in for what they think will be just another stream. She laughs, she chats, she seems full of life. But within minutes, everything changes. Viewers would soon witness the unthinkable, a murder, unfolding in real time.
The murder of a Mexican beauty influencer has sent shockwaves across the country.
Hoy andaba haciendo unas cosillas.
23-year-old Valeria Marquez shot to death during a TikTok live stream on
with nowhere to look away. This is the shocking story of Valeria Marquez, a 20-year-old from Mexico whose final live stream captured not just her smile, but her very last breath. Valeria wasn't famous. She was just beginning to build her audience on TikTok, posting dances, lifestyle clips, and the occasional late-night live stream.
It would be the last video for Marquez, a rising online star in Mexico with nearly 200,000 followers between Instagram and TikTok.
To her followers, she was warm, funny, and approachable. The kind of girl who felt like a friend through the screen. She dreamed of becoming bigger, of growing her platform, and maybe even making a career out of it. But what no one knew was that Valeria was also living in a place where danger lurked close by.
Ya viene.
Her followers watched her final moments live in this video.
Hola. Sí.
In the minutes before, as she recorded from the beauty salon where she worked in Zapopan, central Mexico.
On that night in 2025, her live stream started like so many others. Valeria appeared on screen, casually dressed, her hair loose, music playing from her phone. The chat was lively, her followers asking questions, sending emojis, teasing her. She laughed, swayed to the music, and smiled at the camera. For a moment, everything seemed normal, ordinary, safe. But then, noises in the background. At first, it was subtle, a faint sound.
She mentions how someone had stopped by earlier, promising to bring an expensive gift.
Ya viene.
Later on, clutching a pink stuffed animal, Marquez looks out of frame before saying, "They're coming," and a voice in the background asks for her by name.
Sí.
Marquez replies yes, then leans over to mute the sound on the live stream.
Like voices outside her room, Valeria glanced off screen, her smile faltering for just a second, before she quickly forced it back. Most viewers didn't notice. They kept spamming hearts and comments, unaware that something terrifying was creeping closer. Minutes later, it became impossible to ignore. Loud bangs echoed from outside. Valeria froze, eyes wide, glancing again toward her door. The chat exploded, some asking, "What was that? Are you okay?" While others thought it was just fireworks or maybe her neighbors being loud. But Valeria knew better. Her body language betrayed the truth. She was scared. Suddenly, the door behind her burst open. Two armed men stormed into the room. Valeria screamed, dropping her phone as the live stream tilted violently. The chat went insane, comments flooding faster than the eye could read. "Call the police! What's happening? Oh my God." The camera, lying sideways now, captured everything. Shadows moved across the room. Valeria pleaded with the men, her voice breaking, tears streaming down her face. Her words were frantic, desperate, begging them not to hurt her, but the attackers were merciless, And then, the sound that froze every viewer in terror. Gunshots. The screen shook as the blasts rang out.
Horrifically shot to death in moments after, a person appears to pick up her phone, their face briefly showing on the live stream before the video ends. The identity of this person and their relationship to the crime hasn't been publicly identified.
Echoing through the tiny room, Valeria's cries were cut short. For a moment, all that was left was silence, and the horrified flood of comments scrolling endlessly across the screen. The viewers had just watched a young woman's life stolen in front of their eyes, but the stream didn't end. Her phone kept broadcasting. For long, unbearable minutes, the live stream showed the aftermath. The men's voices, muffled and harsh as they rifled through her belongings. The sight of Valeria, motionless, just feet from the phone's camera. Viewers screamed in the chat, begging anyone to call authorities to stop the horror, but for many, it was too late. By the time police arrived, the stream had already gone viral. Clips circulated within hours across TikTok, Twitter, Reddit, spreading the horrifying footage to millions. What had started as a casual live stream became one of the most disturbing viral videos in recent memory. The investigation revealed chilling details. Valeria hadn't been targeted randomly. The attackers were linked to local organized crime, and authorities believed she had either witnessed something she shouldn't have.
The prosecutor's office has not named a suspect, but said the killing is being investigated as a possible femicide, an intentional murder of a woman due to her gender.
Or was being used as a brutal warning to others. Her death, streamed live, became a statement, not just to her community, but to the entire online world.
I was horrified, and in one sense, I was not surprised.
Paulina Garcia del Moral is an assistant professor who studies gender violence in Mexico and Latin America.
For those who watched it unfold, the trauma was unbearable. Many said they couldn't sleep for days, haunted by the sound of her screams and the gunshots that silenced them.
While the murder of Marquez is still being investigated, Garcia del Moral says femicide is a pervasive problem in Mexico that will take time to address.
Others admitted they felt guilt. Guilt for having watched, for having been powerless, for being turned into unwilling witnesses of her murder. The tragedy of Valeria Marquez wasn't just in her death, it was in the way it was consumed. As live stream content, in how quickly the footage spread, stripped of context, shared by people who didn't even know her name. To some, it became entertainment. To others, a cautionary tale. But for her family and friends, it was pure devastation. Even now, years later, her story lingers online. Not just in the fragments of video that resurface, but in the memory of her followers, who remember the moment her smile turned to terror. For them, TikTok will never feel the same. Valeria's final live stream is a reminder of the internet's darkest reality, that sometimes behind the screen, danger is not just imagined, it's real. And sometimes the people we watch, the ones who make us laugh, dance, and smile, are far more vulnerable than we realize. On that night in 2025, Valeria Marquez went live one last time. What her followers thought would be another fun, ordinary stream became a nightmare they could never forget. This was the last broadcast of Valeria Marquez, a stream that began with music and laughter and ended in horror as thousands watched helplessly while her life was taken away. The live stream began like any other, but what followed was nothing short of horrifying. Jesus Sarmiento, a fearless Venezuelan activist and independent journalist, had built a following by doing what many others were too afraid to attempt. Exposing corruption, calling out gangs, and speaking directly to the people about the reality of life in his country. His streams were raw, unfiltered, and dangerous, because every time he went live, he knew powerful enemies were watching.
Right now, William is cleaning the house, a DCD commissioner sent by JJ, assisting Jessino Pinalida, who is present, and J. Ginorelli.
On that night in 2025, his audience tuned in expecting another hard-hitting truth session. But what they witnessed instead was his final stand. Jesus appeared on screen in a dimly lit room, his face illuminated only by the glow of his phone. His voice carried urgency as he spoke of corruption at the highest levels, naming names, pointing fingers, and describing the ways gangs and politicians work together to keep the population under control. His tone wasn't that of a man who feared consequences, it was of someone who had already accepted them. His words were sharp, cutting through the silence of the night, and his viewers could sense the weight behind them. Many commented in the chat, begging him to be careful, warning that he was going too far. But Jesus didn't stop. In fact, he leaned in closer to the camera, almost as if daring anyone who was watching from the shadows to make a move. "If they silence me tonight," he said, "remember my words. Remember who is truly destroying this country." It was a chilling moment, almost prophetic, and then it happened. The sudden crack of gunfire shattered the stream. The screen jolted as the phone was knocked from its position, capturing only blurred images of the floor and the chaos that followed. Screams, footsteps, the sickening sound of more shots. It all echoed through the live stream. Thousands of people who had been watching in real time now sat frozen, unable to believe what was unfolding before their eyes. Some thought it was staged, some thought it was a cruel prank. But the silence that followed told the truth. Jesus never moved again. The live stream abruptly ended, but the damage was already done. His death, broadcast live to the world, became impossible to erase. Clips of the horrifying stream spread across social media within hours, sparking outrage, grief, and fear. His followers mourned him as a hero who refused to be silenced, while others whispered that this was exactly why speaking out was a death sentence in Venezuela. Authorities quickly tried to downplay the incident, dismissing it as a random act of violence, but those who had been watching knew better. They had seen the way he looked into the camera, the way he practically predicted his own fate, and the way the shots rang out just moments after his boldest accusations. For many, Jesus Sarmiento's final live stream wasn't just another tragedy. It was a grim reminder of the cost of truth in a place where lies are protected by bullets. His murder silenced one voice, but it amplified his message far louder than he could have ever imagined. And for those who tuned in that night, the memory of what they saw, the chilling moment of his final words, will never leave them. Imagine scrolling through Facebook one evening. You see a familiar face go live. At first it looks ordinary. A man sitting in his room staring at the camera, his phone buzzing with notifications. But within minutes, thousands of unsuspecting viewers would witness something they could never forget. This wasn't just another live stream. It was the last broadcast of Ronnie McNutt. Ronnie was 33 years old, a U.S. Army veteran from Mississippi. To most of his friends, he was known as a kind, funny, and caring man. He loved movies, comic books, and spending time with those he cared about. But behind the warm smile, Ronnie carried heavy scars. He had served overseas, experienced trauma, and after coming home, struggled with depression and feelings of isolation. On the evening of August 31st, 2020, Ronnie logged into Facebook Live. Viewers saw him sitting alone in his room, his phone angled slightly upward. At first, the stream seemed harmless. Some friends even tuned in, assuming he wanted to chat. But then, his words began to shift. Ronnie's tone was heavy, his expression darker. He spoke about hopelessness, about pain, and then he hinted at something far more alarming. Friends watching grew concerned. Some tried to call him directly. Others frantically messaged him, begging him to stop the broadcast. One friend even rushed to his house to try and intervene, but by the time they arrived, it was too late. The stream continued, and suddenly, without warning, Ronnie did the unthinkable. In a single horrifying moment, his life came to an end. Live, in front of everyone watching. The screen froze in shock. The chat exploded in panic. Some viewers screamed at their screens, others broke down crying, and thousands more couldn't look away. The aftermath was equally disturbing. Facebook scrambled to remove the video, but in the hours after, copies had already spread across the internet. Clips were reposted on TikTok, YouTube, and Twitter, sometimes even disguised inside innocent-looking videos to bypass detection. This meant countless unsuspecting people, including children, stumbled upon Ronnie's final moments without warning. For many, the trauma of seeing that clip would linger forever. His death sparked worldwide conversations. Why wasn't Facebook able to stop the broadcast in time? Why was it so easy for such a graphic tragedy to spread unchecked across platforms? And deeper still, how many people are suffering silently, without the help they desperately need? For Ronnie's loved ones, it was a nightmare. They remembered him not for that final live stream, but for the kind, funny, and caring man he truly was. Friends described him as someone who always wanted to make others smile, even while fighting his own battles. His story became a haunting reminder that behind every live stream, every smiling photo, every casual post, there can be pain that nobody sees. Ronnie's last broadcast remains one of the most disturbing and widely discussed live stream tragedies in internet history. It forced platforms to rethink moderation, and it left viewers with a chilling truth. Sometimes, what seems like just another stream can suddenly turn into something no one is prepared to witness.